that thought because I think we just go right on in. All right, we live. Go ahead, sis. Now say your thought, y'all. We joined us. We already in progress. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Why do we have to be beat down to learn something? Like we need to get away from that way of learning. Like that way of learning is not working for us because the price is too high.
I agree.
Like if you raising your kids to believe that the only time that you have their full attention is after you beat the shit out of them, there's something going on. Like, and I know that's an idea that not necessarily inherited from slavery. It may not have its genesis in slavery, but it was definitely cemented during that time.
I agree.
You know what I mean? It got some amplification during that time, and that's not cool. Like we have to be able to. If I don't know how many generations it will take to condition ourselves to learn under different circumstances, to be able to evolve under different circumstances. I understand the concept of pushback and all of that, but let your pushback be a spiritual one. Learn from your experiences and not necessarily just straight abuse. Like you shouldn't have to be beat down and everything taken away from you in order for you to be able to see the light when the light is within you. Like how many generations do we need to teach that to our children before it becomes our default mechanism? Like, no, let me go within and find the guidance that I need.
So let me ask you this. What is going on with us protecting our kids who are killing people? Why? There was a time if somebody's son killed somebody, the mom would be like, you got to turn yourself in, baby. Because that's bad. I mean, I don't know if we were super Christian at this time, but even in the midst of that, they did not protect them. They did not try to come up with 50 excuses while his dad wasn't at home. It's like, baby, you took somebody's life. You did something wrong, and you got to pay for it. Now mamas hide their kids, or it ain't his fault, or the girl should have did this, or the boy was picked with his shoes, and you killed somebody? What part of the game is that?
Well, I know men protect each other fiercely. And this whole don't snitch culture is a real thing because my dad is 80 years old, and he told me not that long ago that he was not going to give me the details of some shit that he knew went down in West Oakland because he don't tell. So, I mean, that's like deeply entrenched in the experience. And I only bring up his age because we're talking about previous generations, right? And so that's a thing. Like, and also, who are we telling?
You know I was snitching was when
telling? Like us telling the cops ain't no they're not no real authority for us. They're not the what sayers in we should be able to look. Let me tell you what I think should occur. I think that when something happens, especially to a woman, now this time I do remember a time when if something happened to a woman and she told her mother told her father gathered the soldiers and they went and took care of whoever did whatever happened to her.
Remember that time too?
Now that's the time, that's some shit that I can buy into, and I feel like this the same principle applies. I agree. Your son does some off the wall shit, and you need somebody to come set his ass straight. Do you understand what I'm saying? But yes. This murder is a thing that's already progressed. Something happened earlier on that lets you know that was down the road. By the time a person murders somebody, they've already exhibited behavior that should have been checked. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and we talked about even as middle children in a middle class family mm-hmm. that we basically raise ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So how many of these boys their mama didn't have an opportunity to call the police because they was raising themselves, and they found out when everybody else found out that their kid committed a murder.
But is there something wrong with her? Because this is what I know. Mother set the tone. I'm not letting dads off. I'm talking about your mama. There is something like people talk about mama. Like telling your mama would be like, oh my God. So what I don't understand is that how I see women, mothers protecting their sons when they do things that is so wrong. You know, if they son take a life of another human being, you're a life giver. Don't you have that piece of you like, oh my God, boy, you know, then you know you're gonna have to do the right thing. I've seen so many mothers have excuses. Well, he wasn't ready. That does not bring people back. That's number one. And number two, it says something about you that you would even harbor or call yourself protecting when you know this person did something wrong. That's why I feel like people who do that should be in the jail right next to their kid. They need to be in jail too. Since you know they have conspiracy, or you're a conspiracy. You're
accomplice.
The accomplice. Thank you. That's the word. I feel like you're an accomplice. And you don't get to be like, well, that's my son. Well, where's your justice at? I would never do something illegal and then go tell my mom and she hide me out. She'd be like, girl, you all pocket and you have to fix it. One time I stole money from somebody that was in their house. I stole some quarters and some shit. It was really ridiculous. Not only did I get the ass whooping of my life, that's number one. My mother made me clean this woman's house with her. My mother was like, my daughter don't steal. We are not stealing people. I'm so embarrassed. If you would allow my daughter, she has to work this all. I think I must have stolen like $2 in quarters. It wasn't the principle of how much I stole, it's what I did. And it has something to do with your character.
Exactly.
So we lessen things. It creates monsters. Because then you can't self-govern. Stole like that again. But I'm just saying, it was like the quarters you put in the thing. I call myself, it was so damn petty to buy some penny candy. But that $2 like cleaning, it's like, oh shit. My mother was so embarrassed. And she wasn't so embarrassed, but she wanted to hide what I did. She wanted me to correct it because that's a character flaw. And so we'll talk a lot about spirituality, but some of us got some bad character flaws. Take that and bring it into spirituality, and then we hide behind men as the head. Woman looks to man, man looks to God. It's like, what the hell? How is that possible when I brought you here? How does that work? I'm confused. I'm sorry. I missed that lesson. I was probably absent that day. How does that work?
Well, I know for sure that the crack era created a lot of things, and I'm sure that the heroin era created some issues as well. But I'm gonna say that I've met women who I don't know if you could say instilled their children with bad character.
No, but I think that's what we're talking about.
They just assume commit a murder just as quickly as any man would. You know what I'm saying? And not for any righteous reason, just to be, women actually make better criminals.
Because we think
they rarely get caught. The only time women really get caught, most women get caught because of a man.
I was curious.
All the women I know that went to prison, they went to prison because of a man.
Oh, God.
They were self-sufficient criminals, and they knew what to do by themselves and what to do in groups and how to organize things. So you know what I mean? That's been my experience. I don't know. You have a son, so I think it'd probably be better to answer that question.
I have a son, and I have to say, I don't want to toot my own horn.
Please toot it.
But the truth is the light, and the light shall shine. I did teach my son that if whatever you do, if it's an illegal act, you take your responsibility for it. You don't have to tell them about nobody else that was with you or in it. See, I come from, don't forget, I told you my uncles were gangsters. So I come from a long line of, you do your own time. You don't do the crime unless you can handle that time. And so that's what I taught to my son. Now I can tell you, and this is the truth, if my son ever came to me and said that he had murdered a woman, like I see, anybody, but specifically a woman, like I have read about, I first of all, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that I could give birth to something that would do that.
Yep.
And I can't say someone. I have to say something that can do that. And if that came from my body, my best thing that I could tell that child or son, you're going, I know this ain't good, but you're going to have to make amends for that. You cannot go through this life. It's going to get you in trouble now. You know, children, young men, 17, 18, 20, they sometimes do stupid shit. But I always advised and said, think about what you stop following the crowd, because that ain't gonna help. That all them crowd people gonna keep on going, and then you think you got a friend? The only friend you got here is me.
That's real talk. That's real talk. You said something that was key here. You said that, and actually it blends into what Ifeoma Dupe said. There was a time that even if you did something that was illegal, it makes me think of, let me give you the best example. It makes me think of, I know why Case Bird sings. When she was raped and her three uncles, like, they didn't get the police involved. So we have these rules that we don't, so they didn't get the police involved, but it was justice that happened.
Yeah.
Let's talk
We don't
about
live in
it.
that time. We can't trust the police, and then we have no people that's gonna bring justice. So it's like you end up back with the police. You know? So when her uncle went and handled the man, that's different.
Yeah.
And it feels like sometimes that some of those kind of thinking men are missing. I don't know if they end up in jail, because there was a time if you did some stuff like that, they will come for you.
Yes.
Yes. We got to handle. Don't say nothing.
And
Don't say nothing. Got it.
And they did exactly. They did it in a way that everybody knew what happened, but you didn't know what happened. You know, you couldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like your daddy from Odubwe, you kept your mouth shut till you went to your grave.
Yep. Right.
About whatever however it happened, whatever, you know. So yeah, we seem to have gotten there are no morals or respect among gangsters anymore. You know what I mean?
Now,
there was a certain code. You didn't mess with people's family. You certainly didn't mess with no woman.
yeah.
You know?
Sophia, there was a time when a friend of mine asked me to sit on like a task force, or I went to a meeting, and it was at the police department. I'll never forget this. And it was a gang task force. They had like gang problems at the time. And when they were going through the list of gangs, do you know who the most dangerous gangs were?
The women. The women?
No, the most dangerous gangs there are.
Oh, okay.
The Asians.
Oh, yeah.
Because they still have that code.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They can't even infiltrate their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't. No, for real. So the gangs that had no morals, didn't follow protocol. What gang you think that was?
Us.
Right, it was black. They don't listen to the OGs. They don't. I said to myself, this is, even though this is illegal, you know what I mean, what they're doing, it was just like, come on, y'all. They said when they go to arrest an Asian gang member, they go for his backpack. If he's a student, they go for his backpack first. Like, why? He would have his books on top, but his gun at the bottom. So he's still doing his homework. Right? I mean, come on, yeah. So I guess for me, as I'm thinking about this, it really makes me feel like we see some of this lack of uh, um, lack of respect or no respect for Black life. We see that in spirituality or religion.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Some of the most adept priests that I know that know how to do certain types of things, they are generally directed at other Black people.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare. It's very rare to see them aggress people outside of the people that they know. That they just assume
Wow.
put spiritual handcuffs on the woman that they sleeping with before they aggress. It might be working at a regular job and have a white boss that's almost calling them nigga and won't do nothing to him. That is now I don't know. To me, that's the Willie Lynch letter at work. And I know the Willie Lynch letter ain't no real thing, but we talking about post-traumatic slave
The
syndrome.
spirit of it is real.
Right. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's what that is. And it's very, very, I have heard people request to do things to people that they sleep in the bed with, to their family members. And the thing is, the person close to you can hurt you the most. But there's a disconnect between your little feelings, and the reality of your family structure and the people who are your support system, right? So if you're willing to aggress the person that's fixing your meals, that's mental illness. In my opinion, that's mental illness. If you're willing to aggress the people that gave birth to you, that's mental illness.
Illness, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Your brothers who run with you, your sisters who cook with you, who, the people that you sit at the table with and eat out of the same pot, those people are off limits. Those become the matters of the eglon. So you go to the eglon and you try to reach a harmonious place. And if you can't, then you just protect yourself. But we should not be aggressing each other as Black people. The person that lives next door to you, if you live in a neighborhood full of Black people and you get into an argument with your neighbor and all of a sudden you want to kill him, like, what is this?
Wow.
This is why I say, like, certain things we don't talk about in public because you don't give AK-47s to 5-year-olds. The power is real. I know some women, there's some women in my family who have that evil eye. I forget what it's called in Yoruba, but they got the evil eye. So basically, they put the evil eye on you, and your life goes down. You see what I'm saying? No, that's reserved for what do they call them? The Beckys, the Karens, and the Susans. That ain't for your sister. Not for your sister.
Well, the thing is that we have to remember, Ifa, people who come to Ifa they're the people in the neighborhood. They are regular people Black people walking around the streets, and it's great. I'm very happy that Ifa is becoming is growing in the way that it is. I'm very happy about that, but that doesn't mean that all of the people, just like in any other tradition, like look at the Christian tradition. They're killing. There's more wars fought by Christians than anything else. But when you go into a house, that's why you have to maintain your own common sense and maintain your own relationship with your Egun and your Orisha, because God forbid, although Dumare forbid, that even your godparent, mother or godfather, could be your own undoing, and they certainly know more about you than anyone else in the house for the most part. So that's
Right.
why it's so important to have a really good relationship with your godmother or your or your godfather. So Ifa people are no different from anybody else. They kill you just like anybody else,
No.
but they kill you differently. They kill you with the spirit. Go ahead.
Right. But I stand on the fact that we carry the Ashe around within us. I
All
stand
right.
on that. That we're the ones that bring the Ashe to the party. So that don't mean that doesn't matter if the party is at a church, at a temple, at a synagogue, and an Eleg, wherever the party is, we bring it. We bring the power to it. That power is not biased. So that means once activated, it can be used in the way that the person feels to direct it. And this is why we have to focus on character and self-mastery. And that is a job of the community raising children. Do you understand what I mean? That's
Yes.
outside of the religious sphere. That's outside of the political sphere. That's outside of all of that. We get to raise our children with an understanding of good character. And there was a time when that was paramount in people's mind, partially because when you color outside the lines, there goes your life. But also because that was what we had to stand on. Somehow we're under the illusion that there's something more that we get to stand on besides the quality of our character. Somehow,
Yeah.
in the process of integration, we have been mesmerized with stuff. So we think we could take our celebrity and stand on it. We think we could take our looks and stand on it. We could take our money. We could take our knowledge of some subject matter and stand on it. But you don't have nothing to stand on but your character.
The character.
Because everything else can be made obsolete.
That's so
Go ahead now, Ifa Motupwe. You on it again today. Go on, girl.
Yeah, I woke up this morning listening to Ice Cube, and LaDonna was like, 8:45, Ice Cube, really? I said, yeah. One of the days. It's one of the days. But no, but really, we don't have anything else. Like, if we really, the self-mastery is a real thing. It's a real thing, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. That self-governing, you can only get that when you have control of yourself. If everything moves you, except you don't have, except your Godhead is the only thing that you done isolated out of the picture, and everything else is moving you. You move by your groin, you move by money, you move by some clothes, and all that stuff is great to have, and it's well within your power and right to have all those things. The problem is that when you put those things above who you are, when you show up at the end of the day with nothing, that there ain't no cameras, ain't no, and we're close, but we ain't there quite yet. We still got internet. We still got internet, so you can get on TikTok, or you know what I mean. And do the thing and have the people looking at you. But what if you don't got no followers? What if you don't, and it's just you? Then what are you standing on within yourself? What is your interior landscape look like? Does it look like a yard run over with weeds and shit everywhere? Or is it well tended and strong and fertile, and you take information well and all of that? Even if you don't do shit, if you're not going to do shit, but you still can say at the end of the day, I did no harm.
Yeah. That's why I say you have to be able to live with yourself. You know, you can do all this underhanded stuff, but in the final analysis, you've got to stand on your own good character and gentle character. And that's what we are working towards when we are in Ifa. But all of us can say that, and some of us can do it, but all of us are not doing it, and you have to be aware of that. Not so much to sit in judgment on other folks, but to be aware of your own self-preservation, because Ashe, it can be very powerful, and you have to watch out for yourself in terms of protecting your aura and your being, and your head, your head. So this is a really different way of, a really good way of talking about our tradition, because this is the truth of the tradition. All of this is part of it. It's not just a bed of roses. If you're looking to have better character, good character, and gentle character, you have to be willing to look at yourself in truth, but you also have to be willing to do the work, and you have to be willing to go to that dark place that might be within you. And you have to be willing to at least be aware of maybe there's a dark place in someone else that you need to keep your distance.
Yep. Yeah, and conduct yourself in a way that you are not codependent upon other people, because that's where your story gets strange. Look, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It changes for you. Because this is the other side of that coin. Like, you can have complete control over your own actions, but do you have control over your own feelings? Right? So that when something occurs that makes you feel insecure, what do you reach for? Do you reach inside yourself? Do you reach for a person next to you? Are you reaching up for people you think are better than you? Where are you placing in your ori? Where are you placing your ori in the protocol of that? Do you understand what I'm saying? So,
yes.
I mean, as we grow to adulthood, a part of that process is determining how we will solve problems. What is your MO for critical thinking? Like, how do you go about that? These are important things, and a lot of times, the role of a godparent will be to show you how to do those things in a spiritual way, so that you're activating the ashe of all your spiritual support, the support of your ancestors, the support of you understand how to deal with your ori, you understand where your emotions lie in your body, how to feed your neighbor, do you understand what I'm saying? These are things that these are the pieces that are put together in private, because each person has a different need. That's why you can't lay a blanket over everybody and be like, you just got to do this. But at the end of the day, we can talk about the result we want to see is going to be generally the same for most people. You see what I'm saying? Some people have destinies that will take them off the beaten path, and they, you know what I mean? We can't, that's not our job. But we can, in terms of having gentle character, we can say, like, this is what our harmonious community should look like. When our community's in harmony, these are the things that we're looking for. And so when we see something other than this, we're going to have questions. And when people are bucking up against that harmony, then we can't include them, because they're going to mess it up. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're not going to let anybody just come in and poison the well. That's not going to happen. And we have to be willing to put our foot down. And so when you get into this whole situation where you're operating in the mindset of a slave, then you're always looking for the approval of other people.
Yep.
Now, sometimes those people are white, sometimes those people are orange, sometimes those people are black. We don't know. It could be any people. But if you're looking for approval outside of yourself, it's going to be a problem. Because the minute that your ori gives you the what to do, you're going to be thinking about how it's going to impress upon other people. You're going to start considering other people's considerations. And that's a way for us to get way off track of our destiny. And the problem is when you see, like, okay, I'll give you an example. When you see an anthill and you see ants leaving the anthill, they're all walking in a line together, right? Now, the ant that decides, I'm going to stay away from the line and go over here. Everybody working, right? Everybody doing their thing. But this is the track that we're on because we're accomplishing something as a community. And one ant just wanders off, you probably gonna step on. It's just your natural inclination. Even if you don't step on that ant is by itself, and by itself, it's not a threat anymore. You don't want to step on an anthill because you don't want ants to cover you.
Right on.
You will step on one ant that's just walking off, by itself. And so it's the flip side of the coin that scares people away from doing the thing that stands up in a crowd of people who are doing not what's right to say that's not right. There's always somebody who's very clear that what's going on is not working. Mm-hmm. But they won't say anything because they're scared of being the ant that wandered off and getting stomped on. But you're not scared when you recognize how much unseen support you have. We talked about it yesterday, the continuum of your ancestors. That's your whole army is with you every time you stand up, every time you walk into a room. But if we haven't taken the time to activate that power within and without, then of course we're not going to be able. It's going to be very difficult to overcome the fear. I put it that way.
That's real talk.
Yeah. Good analogy with the anthill. Good analogy. That made it really clear. What I also got from the anthill is that as a community, we have allowed those ants, those ones that want to go off on their own little tangent, instead of staying in that line, staying within the parameters of our community. That's what others do, other kinds of ethnic communities. They stay within those parameters and those boundaries. We have allowed people to veer off wherever they want to go and breach those boundaries, which then puts all of us at risk. And that's why it's so easy to infiltrate. Most of the things that we have come up with, like the Panthers and others, even the Muslims, the downfall was the infiltration by our own. Those little ones that walked off on the side got eaten up by whoever, and then infiltrated that straight line of our community.
Yep.
So that's what came to me with that analogy. But great, and I'm going to use that.
It's yours.
And speaking of that, do you think sometimes when we don't work on our character, even though we have the infiltration, because white people or the system or whatever we want to call it, always have a way of wanting to govern us, wanting to control us, but they can't do that unless we allow. Do you think in our own character, because we don't get our needs met, or I'm not the head, I should be the head of this, how do we correct that in spirituality? Or if we get to me, that's the work. Like we think that's the work. God gonna come talk to you like I changed, but you ain't really did shit. Like it just made you feel good and shit. But you have to change that character flaw. Because most people think they poor, rich, educated with character flaws.
We don't talk about the role ego plays in character, right?
Bam.
We vilify egos. We say that egos are, that's just ego. It's always pejorative. But the truth is, your ego is a part of you. It's a part of your design that's meant to serve you. Now, when you serve it, it's all bad. All bad all the time. Gotcha. But it's designed, your ego is designed to help you make your actions uphold your beliefs and values.
Okay.
That's what it's designed for. It's a mechanism in yourself to give you a little extra push, right? So you need to train your ego. You have to condition yourself. It goes back to self-mastery and self-governance, right? You have to condition yourself for your ego to work for you and not against you, right? So when your ego is working against you, an example of that is just what you said. I should be the leader. I don't know who this nigga is. It's Jesse Jackson saying they're gonna string this nigga up by his balls.
Yeah.
And you don't know the mic is on.
Yeah.
That's your ego out of
Oh
alignment.
God.
Your ego in alignment is when you in a room full of people who are talking about an idea in a way that doesn't serve anybody. And you recognize that that's not working. And you said, we need to redirect this conversation.
Yeah.
Because it takes the things that we say take courage to do inside in that person. That's a part of their ego mechanism working correctly. It doesn't have to work against you. We made it a negative thing. And there's not very few things that are just blanketly right or wrong. They're either just a coin with two sides. So you set the side up that works for you. You don't just, you know what I mean? You can't discard people who are trying to get rid of their I don't have any ego. That's a lie. Because it takes ego to say that. it takes ego to say that.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Oh, you think you made different than other people? No, we all have ego.
That's right.
Sometimes it gets out of check. There's always an area in your life where you have to be like, come on back, get back on your square, or you have to gently pick it up and put it back in this tree. You know what I mean? There's always something, but that's why the beauty of this is if we approach it with humility, approach our spiritual development and our self-mastery with humility, we recognize that we don't know shit ever, and no matter how much we know, and that we're never going to be done. And so it's very hard for us to get it wrong as long as we're working on it.
That's real talk.
Do you know what I mean? We will make mistakes, but if you do the work of cleaning up your own messes, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do the work of and constantly paying attention. You're on guard not for someone to offend you or do something to you or protect yourself. You're on guard for your own behavior.
Yes.
The part where you act out of line, and then sometimes when people do stuff to you, you get to go back and apologize to them and say, you know what? I was acting out of character. That wasn't even me. I'm sorry I gave you the impression that what you was about to do was okay. No, I did not like that, and I don't take responsibility for your actions, but I apologize because you met one of my representatives. You met the girl that shows up anytime I feel aggressed because I have sexual trauma or whatever the case may be. And I apologize because she's not supposed to be out in the streets like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Because that's happened to me when I always say, well, you can take the girl out of Harlem, but you can't take the Harlem out of the girl. Because sometimes I do revert. Yeah. And I have to check me. Yes. And say,
and I'm telling you, it don't take much for somebody to give me that feeling that I'm on 80th and Holly with my cousins. Do you understand what I'm saying? With my cousins, and you don't get to let nobody punk you when you're walking around East Oakland with your cousins.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't take much for me to get that feeling, and then I'm off my square. Because that's not who I am. I know how to defend myself. I know how to walk away. I know how to say stop. I know how to turn around and just say, this ain't for me. I know how to do all those things. And when I don't, I'm usually trying to prove something. That's my first indication that my ego has fallen out of its tree.
I love it. I love it. My ego has fallen out of its tree. Get back up there.
Like, oh, come here, little baby. Let me put you back in your tree.
That's cute. I like that.
You don't get to walk around by yourself.
No. You ain't that grown yet. Get back up in there.
It ain't gonna never be that grown. It ain't gonna never be that. What do you think makes babies take their first step?
Ego.
That's ego. You know, we like to say, oh, it's confidence. Is okay, ego. Same thing.
Mhm.
I can see that. That's real talk.
Mhm.
That totally makes sense.
Yes. Yes. Ooh.
Uh,
The
But you know
the
what? Oh, the other thing I was gonna say is, I keep thinking about these women who are dying at the hands of black men.
yeah. Yeah.
And all I can see in my mind is a picture of one of the brothers from FOI. And I was like,
Mhm.
we threw the baby out with the bathwater when it came to FOI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They needed some governance and some training. And as we evolve, their training should have evolved.
right
But
on.
that was they were like the black police.
Yes, they was.
That was the intention, right? The aim was true. The practice was man, but the aim was true. You know what I'm saying? And there were a lot of good brothers who had good intentions, who were there to learn and wanted to show up in that way as the protector, right?
Mhm.
And now I really feel like we need them more than ever.
Yes.
Because even though you know, I remember being young and in a car full of people going somewhere to turn up, and seeing one of the brothers on the corner selling bean pies and final calls, like, and looking back on that moment, I think, wow, um, they should have been getting salaries from the black community in order to show up as protectors. Like, we didn't, the things that we ridicule were things that we should have been valuing a lot of times. And I wonder how many times that's happened in our history. There was a guard in the Black Panthers that, you know what I mean, same concept, different group. But there's always these opportunities for us to govern and protect ourselves in this way, right? There's nothing wrong with having your own protection. And
Exactly.
we clear not understanding that that's not the police. When they say protect and serve, they're not talking about us.
No.
They're
Yeah.
not talking about us.
Yeah.
And so, especially when it comes to, I don't think that people who used to own you can effectively govern you. I don't think that that's no, I don't think that that works, because the relationship is off. Do you understand what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
still haven't sorted out the whole property to property owner thing. We haven't
Mm.
sorted that out for ourselves. And so I know they haven't sorted it out, because it would take us to stand up in the truth of our being in order to even shine the light that would enlighten that situation, that would
Mhm.
clear
Mhm.
the debris from that relationship. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen the other way around. You can't ask the your oppressor to be like, okay, can you sort this out for us because we got problems. That's not how it works. That ain't
Exactly.
make no sense. And we call the police because we ain't got nobody else to call, but we need somebody else
Right.
to call.
Yeah.
We
And
really do.
the FOI has not disbanded completely.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
So that is a possibility
Mhm.
if we are willing to do the work to make it work for us as a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anybody who acts as police needs accountability. Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course,
It built
yes.
into their system of how they are protecting and serving. There needs to be accountability there.
Mm-hmm.
The one of the primary issues that people had with FOI was that at their height of their popularity and power, the Nation of Islam was very misogynistic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call it what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very, very misogynistic. Do you know what I'm saying? Not that the MGT training didn't have a place. I understood the place of MGT training. And there were a lot of people who segued from the Nation of Islam into other spiritual traditions and beliefs, including African traditional spirituality, of any leg of branch of that. So, and that was a way for them to get the discipline and certain understandings that they needed, and also remove their focus away from freebies, as you say, Rolanda, to being more self-sufficient. Do you know what I'm saying? So everything has a place, everything has a purpose, but it's also about us beginning to hold each other accountable. And you can't, in good conscience, hold anybody accountable until you are working progressively on yourself.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm sorry, when we talk about moving from leadership to guidance,
Yes.
and getting away from the Messiah to a more community a community oriented way of governing ourselves and self-governing, then these are the conversations we can't be scared to have. Right? If there's a public health agenda, what is the Black public health agenda?
Health agenda. Yeah.
We have to have an agenda. We have to have a plan. We have to, at the very, very least, we can take this time to begin to understand truly what is important to us. If we don't have, we're not a monolith. So we're not going to have, everybody's not going to have the same plan. Everybody's not going to have the same purpose. Everybody's not going to have the same movement. We ain't going to all move the same. We can get that done. But what we can hold on to is that there are certain values, Black life being paramount among them. The fact that you get to live, not just survive. There's certain things, decisions and choices that you get to make being alive rather than just trying to survive and make it to the next day.
Exactly.
Don't make it to the next day. You don't even know what you like. You don't even know what you want to do. You have no idea what your own talents and strengths and weaknesses are, because everything is about, I got to feed these kids. I got to make sure this rent is paid. That's a cold-blooded cycle to be in. It's cold-blooded, because how can you latch on to a vision for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your nation? Can't do it. Nope. Not even thinking about it. Why? Gotta put food on this table. Gotta keep these lights on. Gotta keep this roof over my head. When you're worried about basic survival, that's a problem. If we counted all the coins in the Black community, it's not a problem we should have. I'm just saying that.
Okay, now.
Well,
not a problem.
Yep.
I was going to also say with the FOI, because on that call of the night, the one who made the most sense was the young brother who was FOI, when he talked about men checking each other. That's all I want to hear. Everybody else is somebody else. But of course, he's a young FOI. He's molded. I mean, you know how they are and stuff. But I also think one of the things I did see their minister Farrakhan do was try to introduce some form of he used Dianetics. People had a problem with that, but there are some things in Dianetics that Black folks do need to be doing to themselves, like auditing the way you think. You could clearly see it. We're talking 70% of Black women in America, before the age of 18 and something like that, has been touched or sexually assaulted, whatever. That's too goddamn high. I mean, this is bad, period. But if we don't have a way of trying to get people to let those things out, some kind of process, it's not always about reading the Quran, reading the Bible, reading the Odu. I mean, all that is great, but you have to have actual things that will help you and witness people that you can work with to allow you to take those things out so you can get rid of them and not pass them on to the next generation as if it's culture.
Yes.
And I think we haven't been able to do that.
No, we haven't.
We want to romanticize everything.
Well, we romanticize things. It's not without a reason. Now, this is not an excuse. Let me be very clear.
That's your disclaimer.
It's not an excuse, but it is an explanation. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So upon arrival in the new world, we got our hard drives wiped. There was a process called seasoning. Right?
Yeah.
Basically the wiping of a hard drive. So I'm gonna walk back your culture so that you can be absorbing what it is I need you to do. So basically, that process reduced human beings who have culture, history, understanding, innate wisdom, and divinity within them, walk them back to function. You are now a piece of property, and the only thing you good for is what you can produce on my behalf.
Mm.
That was the entire slavery experience, right? So there are people who, even though their hard drive was wiped, managed to save some things on a zip drive. Do you understand what I mean?
Right.
There are people who, and you know what I mean? There are families who have been able to protect a
Yes.
great deal of their rituals and their history and the culture. So it wasn't an even impact. It impacted us unevenly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the process of waking up, which it ain't been that long, the country's not that old, it ain't been that long. In the process of waking up, we wake up one at a time, right?
Yeah.
And so, because we're in survival mode, we go to let me get mine, rather than what will make it easier for us is if we turn to the side and say, hey, wake up, let's work together. Hey, come on, get up, let's go. We got to do this. We got some stuff we got to do. That's very rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a rare inclination. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's more likely for us to be like, that's the way my mama raised me, and I turned out all right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a more common response. And so, we carry still beatings of slavery. We carry still a lot of behaviors of slavery, and we call that post-traumatic slave syndrome. But it's a real thing, and it takes a multifaceted approach to then reclaim our own greatness. We say, "Oh, so and so won't let me be great." Yeah, well, that's a part of it. This is a part of it.
Yeah, and some of it is just plain battle fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just, by the time you get back home in the evening, you're worn down from all of the encounters that you always have to have your antennae up so that you're always monitoring everything that's going on around you, and you can never let your guard down. And so by the time you get home, you're fatigued. And that's the time when you get home. That's the time when you need to be at your best, because that's the time when we bring the family together. But we're so stripped of our strength and our energies by that time that we have a difficulty giving the instruction and the nurturing that we should be giving to our children and each other in our family settings. And it always has, and it always will be. It will start with the nucleus family. That's where our changes have to take hold and come forth, with our nucleus family. Boy, there's so much to unpack.
Yeah, it's a lot, and we won't be able to do everything. So that's why it's important for us individually to know ourselves and know which part is ours and just do our part.
Yeah.
With respect for the other parts, right?
Yes, because you need them all.
And we can still hold each other accountability. We can still hold each other accountable, because that's what a mission statement does. That's what a mission statement does. If I say I'm gonna stand for this, and the other thing, I can say, I'm gonna stand for a full self-expression, unconditional love, and creativity, and I stand on the understanding that every human being should have the opportunity to be fully self-expressed in this life. Then if I say that out loud, which I just have, then when you see me do something that ain't in alignment with that, you can say, "Hey, blood, you said this. What you said. This who you said you were." I'm just asking, does this really look to you like these two things go together?
Right.
This who you said you was. I didn't say that. You said that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's just that small thing. That small thing make a world of difference. Especially when some of us, a lot of those of us who have penises, will stand up, puff out their chest, and say, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This, you know what I mean?" And I'm not gonna just tell you who I am. I'm gonna tell you what you can count on me for. You can count on me for this, and then when I'm outside of that, you know, for whatever reason, my ego fell out of this tree. I feel in some kind of way. I got mesmerized by some sparkly, whatever the case may be. Then you just tap me on my shoulder. It's not aggressive.
Right.
That's accountability. Hey, sis, check it out. This is what you said. Well, I remember when we talked. You said, yeah.
We've been tapping on that shoulder though with those promises of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yeah. We tapping you on the shoulder.
They're not responding. They're not
At all.
to that. Yeah, because they have basically said 3/5 of a person cannot hold me accountable. And then we say 3/5 of a person. Is that how you see me?
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't know who your 3/5 of a person. I got your 3/5 of a person. You know what I mean? We haven't gotten to that point in the stage of, because again, your ego is there to have your actions align with what you believe and value. And so, in the absence of a well-trained ego, you cower. When somebody calls you out your name, you lightweight agree with them before you can even, and then you'll fight them because your feelings is hurt. It's like, I am mad. No, you're not that. If you already know that, then when they say they can, whatever they're saying can bounce off the walls around you. It doesn't even have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we're living from the inside out, not the outside in. So when you tell me what my name is, that doesn't work because I already know what my name is. You don't get to tell me what my name is. You ain't my mama, and that part is already done with her. Do you know what I'm saying? She did that early on. That's over. She can't come back and be like, "Well, no, your name is this," and then you're like, "No, sorry, that's done already. We did that. That part's over." So, I mean, we really have some shoring up of ourselves to do. We do.
Exactly.
And we can do it in community. We can help each other heal. We can help each other build. We can do all those things, but certain things have to be in place because we do wake up one at a time. And they found the people that wake up with you and be like, "Okay, come on, let's go," or wake somebody up. Can, you know, which people do have to still wake up on their own even after you wake them up. We know how that works.
Yeah.
But we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
So we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have a guest tomorrow. So yeah, so we will see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Love you.
I don't know.